Hello friends, it's your girl Alina back for another video, and in this one we'll be diving into the 5 things you need to know all around this upcoming November 2022 full moon, beaver moon, and final lunar eclipse of the year. We'll talk about what exactly a beaver moon is, the seasonal changes surrounding it, how exactly this lunar eclipse will impact us, along with the top transits for this lunation, ways to align with it, and of course at the end I'll offer some custom full moon writing prompts. And a quick announcement, the 2022 Auralign Astrology Planner line is officially available for pre-order! Yay! For any of y'all who don't know, the Auralign Astrology Planner is my creation, and it is a planner that includes notifications for all the top astrological events of the year, including retrogrades, eclipses, full and new moons, along with dedicated full and new moon ritual pages to journal out. And that is just scratching the surface. I'm not just excited for y'all to explore all of the new improvements, features, and to be able to pre-order it today, but I'm also excited for y'all to explore the entire 2023 collection, including brand new wall calendars, notebooks, tote bags, and something I'm most excited about is digital downloads of the planner. If you're interested to learn more, I've left links in the video description and on the screen. So go now, check it out. First up, why is this moon so important? The full moon in astrology represents an energetic peak midway through the lunar cycle, where we see the moon is at its highest energetic and light point. And just as we see that the moon can raise the tides, so too can it also raise our emotions and intuitive abilities. This is one of the many reasons why I call the full moon a cosmic spotlight, because it can tend to illuminate what has and hasn't been working for us midway through the cycle. This is why you see many people doing full moon rituals, where they take time to write out what is no longer serving them so they can release it. And just as we see the light wane in the sky leading all the way down to the end of the lunar cycle at the new moon, so too can the energy around the things that we want to release dissipate. This is one of the reasons why I designed full moon journal prompts into the planners, and this year the edges are perforated so you can easily tear them out and destroy them as a part of your ritual if you choose to do so. We also see that this will be a total lunar eclipse. Now, lunar eclipses only ever occur during full moons, and they're seen as amplified versions of full moons. So a lot of the themes that I explain in this video will likely have a stronger impact in our lives. Now, lunar eclipses being amplified versions of the full moon, where we see it already will tend to bring things to the surface, illuminating different secrets, things that we might have been holding down within our inner selves. Lunar eclipses tend to really rev up our pre-existing heightened emotions, along with revealing different types of secrets or things that we were potentially even trying to avoid. But there's two sides of the coin here. While a lot of people online will fearmonger and say, oh, there's going to be more emotions and drama, and you associate that with crying and negative feelings. While that can happen, on the other side of the coin, this can be a very powerful time for finally facing those secrets or things that we push down below the surface, and utilize this lunar eclipse's energy to finally articulate it out, speak our minds, and work together to solve problems that we might have been avoiding. Now, when we see the moon, this astral body that impacts our sense of self, our inner emotions and intuition, entering the sign of Taurus, this sign that is a fixed earth sign, we can often feel heightened levels of patience, perseverance, and persistence when it comes to our lives. Now, the flip side of that, or the shadow side of Taurus, can sometimes manifest as stubbornness as well. Either way, under a Taurus moon, we can find it a bit easier to turn new things that we start at this time into habits that stick. Taurus energy is all about the physical plane, that being of physical, tangible objects and sensory pleasures. It's very grounded in this reality, not trying to go into the astral plane or the spiritual, and really honing in on creating a safe space right where we are. So if you're someone who is looking for a bit of grounding, especially following the previous new moon, now can be a powerful time to set those intentions. And as with all full moons, we see that the moon forms in opposition with the sun. So we see the moon in Taurus having this opposition or this fundamental polarity or duality with the sun in the sign of Scorpio. And as with all full moons, we're called to strike a balance between those two dualities, between the more inner world, that being dictated by the moon, and being more grounded into our habits, rituals, things involving material world, financial world, and our more outer world, that being impacted by our solar star, that being the sun, in the sign of Scorpio, this water sign that is much more fluid, emotional, and intuitive. So during this full moon, moon prioritizing striking a balance between our more structured, fixed, potentially even stubborn selves and being more fluid with what comes up for us. Next up, what exactly is a beaver moon? Now, in Native American culture, this name was given to the full moon in November, specifically because it was during a time when Native American cultures would hunt and harvest beavers for their fur in preparation for winter. Now, looking at the beaver moon and the seasonal shifts around it from a more holistic and spiritual perspective, now can be a powerful time for reviewing our routine, our structure, and protection leading up to the winter months. This can look like reworking our sleeping schedules in alignment with the patterns of the sun, as we see that the sun is rising much later in the morning and setting much earlier in the evening. This sun exposure can also be a powerful preventative measure for avoiding, the winter blues that can often peak in the following months. As well, putting my nutritionist hat on now can also be a helpful time to eat in season, which includes eating more of the root vegetables that can be very grounding for us, along with warming spices. Think the spices that you see in pumpkin spice and chai lattes, which help to promote a more robust digestive and circulatory system, which in turn promotes a more robust immune system. And we all know flu season is here. And by the way, everything I've mentioned in terms of seasonal lunations, habits, and foods can all be found in the Auralign Astrology Planner. All right, let's talk the top transits surrounding this full moon. First up, we see that Mars has gone into retrograde on October 30th in the sign of Gemini and will stay there until January 12th. So when we see Mars, this planet of willpower, assertiveness, and action going into retrograde, we can often feel heightened levels of friction around our willpower and getting into action. It can sometimes slow down our momentum, leaving us feel a little bit more stubborn. And it's occurring in the sign of Gemini, the sign that impacts our communication, thinking processes, the internet, things of the air. But this is where this powerful Taurus eclipse energy comes in, because now is a powerful time for setting intentions around releasing anything that leaves us feeling stagnant. Is there anything in your life right now that you feel that could be holding you back in terms of willpower, assertiveness, or courage? This retrograde, along with the eclipse, will be highlighting these things and allowing us to better understand what we're working with, rather than just feeling, this is just the way I am. Another supportive transit we see during this time is the Sun conjuncting with Mercury, both in the sign of Scorpio. Now, a conjunction aspect in astrology indicates blended and intensified energies between the astral bodies involved. They're really working together and bolstering one another. So this is a type of transit that specifically helps us and brings in more of a fluid Scorpio energy in terms of thinking, communication, and adaptability. So with this transit during this eclipse can be a very helpful time for negotiating, making friends, making plans. And if we see issues arise that could be from this Mars retrograde, being more fluid with it, allowing this Scorpio energy with both the Sun that impacts our outer world and Mercury that impacts our communication and adaptability skills, really helping us. Next up, we see the Sun opposing Uranus. Now, an opposition aspect in astrology, just like we see the opposition between the Sun and Moon during all full moons, it can bring in polarizing or dualistic energy between the astral bodies involved. So we see the Sun currently in Scorpio, this central star that impacts our outer world in this fluid water sign of Scorpio, having this polarizing opposition aspect with Uranus, this planet of revolution and freedom. So during this type of transit, we can often experience a stronger calling for freedom, for changing things up. This is the type of transit that can bring in sudden changes, unexpected interactions, or events. And it can highlight areas in our lives where we might need to be more adaptable and open to what that change can bring, despite it maybe being a bit scary. But bringing it back to this eclipse, I really think that it will lend itself to it, in that this eclipse is already highlighting for us things that of Taurus, things that of areas where we might feel stubborn potentially, areas where we might feel really grounded, and how we can potentially bring in more of the fluid Scorpio adaptability from the Sun's influence. And finally, one of the most interesting transits, in my opinion, during this eclipse will be seeing the Moon conjuncting with Uranus. So as mentioned before, a conjunction aspect in astrology can often bring about more blended, intensified, and mutually supported energy between the astral bodies involved. So this time around, we see the Moon, being our inner world in the sign of Taurus, this grounded sign, conjuncting with Uranus, also in Taurus. So this is the type of transit that allows our subconscious to freely and openly speak. And given that this is a full moon and eclipse, the subconscious will likely be speaking relatively loud. Now, this can manifest as more vivid dreams, finding it easier to become lucid or even astral project in your dreams, and find it easier to download or notice more unique or insightful ideas just flowing through. So during this final lunar eclipse, during eclipse season with these transits, now will be a powerful time to get back into dream journaling if that's something you're interested in. Pay attention to your dreams, speak them, whether they are literal sleeping dreams or ideas that come about for you. Lean into different ways to express yourself, whether that is through talk therapy, journaling, articulating how you feel with friends or loved ones, or even creative outlets, whether that's music or art. It doesn't need to necessarily be a structured way of doing it. Finding ways to get into that flow state where you're not as much in the mind, but more so in the heart and body will be very helpful during this time. By the way, if this has resonated with you in any way, if you've been enjoying the video, be sure to hit subscribe and hit that notification bell because I make videos like these for every single full and new moon. So during this eclipse, ways to align with this energy can look like exploring how you strike a balance between being grounded, maybe areas of your life that might feel a little bit more stubborn, or you have your routines, and the more Scorpio side, that being the fluid, more intuitive side. Striking a balance between the mind and the body, between the head and the heart. Also, this Taurus eclipse will be highlighting areas of our lives that of Taurus themes. So on one side of it, maybe the shadow side could be areas where we might feel a little bit more rigid, more fixed, as Taurus is a fixed earth sign. Highlighting those areas, that way during our ritual, we can write out anything that is keeping us there, anything that makes us feel held back. And on the other side of that, this Taurus eclipse can also be spotlighting areas of our lives where we finally feel ready to set up a new habit or routine around something to better or more constructively get into action around it. Now, I feel like when I say that, a lot of us might be thinking things in terms of our work or projects, but this can also look like our home life, that being of Taurus energy, of getting grounded, nesting, getting comfy, enjoying sensory pleasures. For some of us, it might be that we're finally prioritizing getting back to our physical health and setting intentions and routine around creating a safe space, a healthy and balancing morning routine for our focus levels and energy. That brings me into the next part, which is full moon ritual. So like I mentioned before, setting intentions around the themes that I just mentioned of this Taurus eclipse will be very helpful. Next up, let's dive into these full moon writing prompts. What I'll do is I will project the questions up on the screen. I invite you to pause the video when you see them, write them out, and then we'll come back. And if you have your Auralign Astrology Planner, you can go ahead and flip to the dedicated full moon journaling page to write it out. What is a past habit or routine that positively impacted your life? How do you or could you make yourself feel grounded when things feel hectic? Is there anything you're ready to release during this full moon? This can look like limiting beliefs, habits, patterns, people, or environments that no longer serve you. All right, y'all, I hope that you enjoyed those writing prompts. And if you did, or if anything came up for you, I would love if you let me know in the comment section. And if not that, comment 3 mountain emojis to let me know you made it to the end of this video. And before we wrap this up, don't forget to go and check out the brand new 2023 Auralign Astrology Planners. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I can confidently tell you any and everything that you might have thought or commented that I could have improved on, baby, I did. A feature that I'm probably most excited about is the cycle tracking page of this planner. It is a brand new feature, and it not only has charts where you can track your monthly cycle, but it is also perforated so you can rip it out for privacy. Because as some of y'all know, in the States, women's rights and privacy have been threatened. So I really hope that this can be helpful for you all year long. And again, everything is available for pre-order, but there are also digital downloads and the wall calendar. I also am so excited about the wall calendars because I know I'm not alone in when I write out my schedule sometimes, it can be easy to forget about it once the book is closed. So having a big wall calendar, and I mean big, where you can write out all of your goals, your top intentions, and see all the top astrological events visibly on the wall can help to keep those important dates at the forefront of your mind. But I digress. Go check it out. And with all of that said, I will leave you with my favorite quote, and that is, be gentle with yourself because life is about the journey and not the destination. Okay, peace, y'all.